Alright, there we go. I accidentally paused that video and just continue on in the process. Working on this portrait, I'm just getting a little bit closer in on the detail of the face. Alright, now just using, and this is a nice filbert brush, so it's flat with that rounded tip. A flat brush could also do the job too. Add a little bit of titanium white again, and then I'm going to take that, kind of add that just in this spot on the side. Really trying to get that gradation there. There's a very subtle gradation going on as we get towards her neck and chin area. So hopefully I can capture that. We need a little bit of a darker coloring just right in this area. And I added mostly burnt sienna right here because it is a little bit warmer in tone. Then I gotta blend that out very gradually from this area, so I added just a bit of the white. And again, some titanium white and matte medium. You can see that right here. I want to again hit this spot, just this little spot right here, where the light, reflected light, seems to be hitting it. That'd be light coming from the water in the swimming pool and maybe part of her skin and things like that. And a little bit of burnt sienna just to warm that up. Dab that just a bit with my finger, and I might have to hit it with another layer if necessary. Now right here on her nose bridge there's an area that should get a little bit darker, so we're going to add a little bit of Romber Dark to this titanium white and burnt sienna, maybe a little bit of alizarin crimson mix. A little bit of titanium white, adding just to make it a bit more opaque so that it covers slightly more smoothly. And what I'm trying to do is get that sense of the reflected light from her chest striking this area right between her eyes, that nose bridge area. And that's a little bit tricky, but hopefully I can get that. I'll grab a little bit of burnt sienna and just add that to this whole mix. I mean, I don't know what it is anymore. It's just whatever colors I mentioned, and they're all kind of mixed together. But I'm shooting for something that's a little bit warmer and slightly more reddish orange. And I'm trying to then add that to this area right here. So we have the light just hitting that in a certain way, and I want to capture that sense. And go a little bit lighter and see if we can. We're going to have to lighten this up with a little bit of Indian yellow and some organic red orange, but I want to lighten up this spot. I'm going to have to go with opaque color That reflection needs to come over just a bit more. And when you're going with opaque, then you really have to change the color and warm it up more than what you think. Way, way more. Just so that it doesn't look muddy. Because anytime you add white, suddenly the color gets more cool. It's cooler in tone. You see how much warmer that has to be than this mixture over here? That's just to, I say, lighten up this one spot and not have it look muddy, because it's going over an area that's a little bit darker. Alright, now it's possible that even this area here is a little too warm in tone. So I might have to hit it with some white, titanium white, and raw umber dark. And again, raw umber dark is that cooler kind of brown. I don't know if you can see this here or not. But there it is. It's just that cooler kind of brown. But you see that mix, that difference between what I was talking about? This warmer color right here, and then this is the cooler color. This is the more opaque paint that I was putting over, trying to lighten up an area that was a little too dark. And like I said, I had to get way, way, way warmer than this mix here that I had, where I was going darkening an area. Okay, so anytime you have to lighten up an area using opaque paint, using titanium white, you're going to have to mix some red and yellow in there to compensate for it. But again, this area here looks like it's a little too warm based on what I see in the photo. So I mixed some titanium white, and it's really hard to show that to you here, just to make sure it gets seen on the camera. Titanium white and raw umber dark. And we're just going to see if I can cool that down ever so slightly. This area here could get just a little bit darker too, it looks like. And there's just some slightly, need a little more transition here on her cheek area. I'm going to take a little bit of, well, let's rinse off the brush so that the brush doesn't get too clogged up. Let's take some alizarin crimson, raw umber dark. Hopefully you can see that there. Alizarin crimson and raw umber dark, and titanium white, and then let's darken the nose just a bit. Maybe just a little bit of naphthalene crimson as well. Let's just get this area in the nose darkened ever so slightly. And let's get a little bit of a gradation then, working out of that. A little bit of a gradation. And then on her nose I want to add just a little bit of a nuance here. There's a flat plane on the nose that needs to be smoothed out a little. In the later stages in painting a face, I do tend to add more white to the mix. So I'm kind of transferring over from completely glazed in translucent or transparent layers to more semi-opaque layers. That's what we're doing right now, and it takes a really gentle touch, and so a lot more concentration than when I'm first starting out. I want to just blend that out a little bit. Again, I'm trying to get a very, very subtle nuance within her nose area. Add a little burnt sienna and titanium white and raw umber dark here. We're going to add a deeper shadow to the left of her nose, to the nostril area. See how that works out. We're going to try to blend out of that a little bit. And let's take some, again, alizarin crimson, titanium white, raw umber dark, and make something that's somewhat a little cooler in tone. Just try to again smooth out that area by her nose bridge right here. Just a little bit cooler in tone. More of a sharp shadow if I can. That's a very, very subtle transition. Need something maybe a little warmer on this side. Just a little bit of burnt sienna to this mix, and some mattphilleo red crimson. I just want to get the edge of that shadow nice and sharp to make it look as if, you know, we really have some sunlight shining on her face. Darken in here just a bit to get some of the dimension on her cheek. This would be a slight shadow from the reflected light coming in the other direction. And darken alongside of her lip, the whole area. And this little shadow here on the other side, we're just trying to spread out the shading over the whole face. And then we'll need to also darken underneath her eyes just a bit. whole area underneath her eyes, kind of like the concentric eyelid folds. And then we'll smooth that out. I'm just using a very light touch, just barely grazing my brush across the surface. This is the only way I really know how to get some very nice, smooth transitions with acrylic. And then if I can fan out the edge on this side of the face and get a little bit of a gradation as we go towards that lighter highlight color. Add some white and maybe even a little bit of raw sienna there to what's already on my brush. I'm just kind of working with what's already on my brush. You can see the mix right here, I think. And just kind of fanning that out on this side of the face a little bit. Getting a little bit of dimension there, that little pocket of flesh right there by her cheek. Leaving this area here highlighted a bit. And I think I can darken this shadow just a bit more. We'll have to see where we're at. It's got to get a little lighter. A little lighter yet. So here it's just a very subtle tone happening. So a slight vertical orientation of the shadow that suggests the wrinkling of her skin as she's kind of got somewhat furrowed eyebrows. Let's see, I'm going to darken just on this side of her eyebrow. That kind of intensifies that furrowed eyebrow look. Might have to go back in with a little bit of opaque paint to transition that. And then right here it even has a little bit of a darker area. Just want to transition this area out underneath her hairline there. Okay. This should be a slightly warmer in color. It appears that this particular area under her eyebrows, between her eyebrows and upper eyelid, is a little bit redder in tone. Just trying to see all these little nuances in here in the flesh tones. Accurately portray them as best as I can. And then with this slightly pinker color, I'm going to go back over this area on her chin and just darken that a little bit. Do you see that in there? I'm going to leave off in this video here. I'm going to have some more work to do with some smaller brushes, highlights and different things, but I just wanted to show you these nuances so far. And it's a process. It takes a little while to get all these little nuances in there. I want to make sure, if anything, the face is correct. That's what's most important to me. So even if you know, the legs and arms aren't perfect, I want this face to be as near perfect as I can, because that's where the client is going to really evaluate the portrait and where it's really going to strike them first. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you want to see some more videos like this where I show you some painting techniques, portrait painting techniques in acrylic, go to realisticacrylic.com, and that's where I specialize in showing you portrait painting techniques. We talk about and discuss all different aspects of portrait painting. So I know you'll find the information and tutorials there helpful. And if you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and leave a comment if you have any questions or just want to say something about the video. I would appreciate it. But thank you so much for watching, and until we see you again, God bless you and have a great time in your painting.